From the paper, data shows that those caregivers who are distressed otherwise, they may not manifest clinically because the physician, they do not actually they do not take care of them more frequently rather than the patient himself. They take care of the patient. But this distressed group of caregivers, there is relatively high incidence of blood pressure. They've got a high D-dimer in the circulating blood. Because of high D-dimer, D-dimer is a procoagulant. So they are very prone to develop thromboembolism for some reason or others. These caregivers also got high inflammatory cytokine, and they also get insomnia, and the percentages may be as high as 63%, which is very, very interesting. And next to that, another interesting observation I found that among the chronic stress group, especially those patients who had maltreatment during their childhood for some reason or other, called early life stress. Later on, let's say the middle age onward, that person is stable. He's working in a bank, he's earning well, he's got a well-established family, he's got children, he's got a very happy life. But he just cannot forget his early childhood when his stepmother used to ignore him completely. That makes him prone to have heart cardiovascular disease. Any comment on that early childhood maltreatment?
Absolutely. Lots of studies.
Now, is it how you people sort of get into this information? Because when we see the patient, a heart patient, we see that he's fine otherwise. He's rich, he's got money, he's got a good house, he's got a very well-established life. But when you get into him and try to get some history, he found that his father used to abuse him.
কোহর্ট হিসাবে প্রসপেক্টিভ স্টাডি না করা যায় তাহলে এই স্টাডিগুলোর ভ্যালিডিটি অনেকটা কোশ্চেনেবল হয়ে যায়। এমনি আর্লি লাইফ স্ট্রেস ক্যান লিড টু ডিপ্রেশন লেটার, এটা নিয়ে স্টাডি আছে, কিন্তু কোনোটাই আমি যদি পেছন দিকে রেট্রোস্পেক্টিভ আমি দেখি that always there is a chance of recall bias. Recently there are some studies which have started একটা কোহর্টকে ফলো করছে for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years to so that can lead or সেটা কিন্তু পরিষ্কার করে একটা জাজমেন্ট দেবে whether that life stress, early life stress can give rise to পরবর্তীকালে কিছু ইক্লিপস বলে একটা গ্রুপ আছে যেটা আমি সেটা এজ স্টাডি করিনি কিন্তু সেটা ডিমেনশিয়া স্টাডি করেছি যে মিড লাইফ স্ট্রেস can lead to dementia afterwards.
Now, even the early life stress, especially this whatever literature I read, I found that much more so it is much more prone in the young girls. For example, the girl in a very younger age had sexual abuse, and which nobody knew. Only girl only knew, no one knew. And then this girl grew, got into college, then got married, got established. But there is some kind of that psychological stress that this early childhood is inside her. And that caused some problem later on. This is in context of course, heart disease. Now, because we really do not get into all these details normally. Do you people sort of get into all these details?
Childhood sexual abuse, childhood abuse, they can do permanent neurocircuitry changes. Permanent changes, there are lots of studies on this. And they are really vulnerable for depression and major psychiatric illnesses, including suicide.
This is another thing. And lastly, the general stress. This is a very widely quoted study called Interheart study. Interheart study is very interesting paper they published. They found that this is an epidemiological study. They found that people with higher level of general stress for any reason or other, they are prone to get cardiovascular disease. So this is the kind of stress in general, acute stress, chronic stress, and particularly the mechanism by which they cause cardiovascular disease. Now come to depression. Depression is of course an important leading cause of disability worldwide, more so in high income population. And apparently by 2030, depression is going to be the most important leading cause of disability next to HIV and AIDS. Is it true?
Absolutely.
So which I did not know that depression is such a huge thing. So it's growing. And depressed mood, or what is called anhedonia.
Ischemic heart disease পরে ডিপ্রেশন আসবে 2020 তে অ্যাকর্ডিং টু ড্যালি
yes
ওয়ার্ল্ড ব্যাংকের যে রিপোর্ট আছে সেটা এটা সেই জন্য একটুখানি পাতা পাচ্ছি আমরা না হলে তোরা দিয়ে আপনাদের সব স্ট্যাটাস ভালো
I'll come back to this. It's really amazing. And depressed mood or anhedonia is very high after a heart attack. Is it correct?
Absolutely.
And more in women than men. The mechanism is this depression is associated with other risk factors. For example, a depressed individual, if you have 100 depression and another 100 non-depression, this depression group of patients are at a high risk of heart disease because of two reasons. One, Those depressed individuals, they smoke more. There's higher incidence of smoking. Their intake of fatty food is more. They do not do exercise. They most have sedentary life. That is the reason they get high blood pressure, and much more than this depressed individual, there is non-compliance to the conventional therapy is very high. So they do not treat, they do not take the medicine. In fact, a lot of these high executive individuals, once they get heart disease, or example, they are being told that you got high blood pressure, there is this thing called denial. They don't accept it from themselves. Therefore, they don't take the treatment. They go to doctor, take the advice, ignore the advice. So that is the reason, and it has been found that those individuals could be a depressed individual. And it's not a depression in general, it's a kind of, this is what is probably, you know better than me, called anhedonia. It's a mood which is depressed. He may not be, he's otherwise nice person, but within himself, he's a different man. And because of this, they get heart disease. And on the top of that, depression itself is a pro-inflammatory condition. Because the depression has a high level of inflammatory cytokine. Depression and the last thing,
ডিপ্রেশনে একটা বলি তুই যে লাইফস্টাইল একটা ইনফ্লামেটরি আরো দুটো ফ্যাক্টর আছে আমি একটার মানেই জানি না একটা হচ্ছে যে হার্ট রেট ভ্যারিয়েবিলিটি দ্যাট ইজ ডিক্রিজড হার্ট রেট ভ্যারিয়েবিলিটি
yes, absolutely.
আরেকটা হচ্ছে ডিক্রিজ প্লেটলেট অ্যাডিশননেস এই দুটো জিনিসই এই ইনক্রিজ প্লেটলেট অ্যাডিশন দুটো জিনিস ডিপ্রেশনে আরো
Right. Increased platelet adhesibility is secondary to inflammatory cytokine, because if you have a high level of inflammatory cytokine, your platelet adhesibility will increase because you are prone to get this kind of platelet adhesiveness. That is what is the same mechanism of vulnerable plaque, rupture, all those kinds. So it is a part of that. Coming to the other because what happens, the heart rate and blood pressure variability is a very important component of our what is called the normal physiological mechanism. For example, early morning your heart rate should be low, and as you wake up, slowly heart rate will pick up, and then again it will come down at the later part of the day. Same is true with the blood pressure. For example, at the early morning there should be blood pressure should go down, and again there should be rise. That is called square root or square root sign. Blood pressure goes down, the early morning dip, and then rise. That is lost. For example, somebody who is having high blood pressure, and the same person, another person is having high blood pressure. That person who has got both the person got high blood pressure. The person number one, his blood pressure is high, but his physiological variation is within normal curve. There is a normal physiological curve. On the other one, the second man, his blood pressure is high, but may not be that high, but he lost his physiological curve. The person too is much more prone to get cardiovascular disease, stroke, renal problem, and particularly heart attack. So this curve is lost. That is what is called heart rate variation. RR interval, ECG or RR interval variability is the most important marker of cardiovascular. Very, very important marker. Especially, we have found that ischemic heart disease group of patients, there is tremendous RR variability because of the STT changes. And now the question is, now this is a question to all of you. As I said earlier, the depression and cardiovascular disease may be the different genotypic expression. Different phenotypic expression of the same this is a spelling mistake, of the same genetic substrate. The question is now to all of you, do you believe or do you feel that treatment of depression, maybe drug therapy, antidepressive drug, will improve the outcome of an established patient of cardiovascular disease?
Absolutely. There is studies, important study known as SARAT study with sertraline, and similar studies replicated with escitalopram. So these two major group of studies have shown that there is definite improvement after treating cardiovascular morbidity is also improved, and so that these two studies are very, very famous studies.
Right. So I got the study, we heard it. We will come back to that because that is a very interesting study. We are going to discuss that because that is there on my slide. But there are a lot of other data which says that we are not quite sure. Whether SARAT study is the ultimate, because in that case all patients of cardiovascular disease needs to be treated by some antidepressive drug, which we do not prescribe normally. Now the question is, as we do not prescribe normally, are we doing the right thing or are we doing the wrong thing? Second, whether all cardiovascular patients need a psychiatrist input for therapy. The question is whether it is drug therapy or non-drug therapy, we do not know. That is a very important area which I think we should spend a little more time on that, because that is very, very important even from my personal clinical benefit point of view. So that is the discussion. The treatment of depression improves the outcome of cardiovascular disease or not, which we are going to discuss. Coming to, after discussion, we talk about anxiety. Now, is there any evidence of correlation between anxiety and coronary artery disease? Somebody is anxious, more coronary artery disease, others are anxious, less coronary artery disease.
type A personality?
That is very interesting. Actually, type A personality, I think I got a slide, or I think I missed it maybe. Type A personality, people say ambitious, so and they're high-strung individual, they're very prone to get coronary artery. Type B personality, they are less anxious, less, I would say, aggressive, and their chance of developing coronary artery is low. But the